Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Train Tuesday.
Hey guys,
Got Janek over here.
I'm back.
Yeah, you were back from your super secret mission.
Yeah, I went on vacation last week, so sorry I missed the video, but I did bring some stuff. Took some photos to share, so it wasn't a complete waste of time.
Yeah, there you go. That's always good. Well, you didn't miss too much except for the epic wind storm that we had that knocked out my sound a few times and almost knocked out the internet. Everybody out there, we see your comments. Thanks for joining us. How you guys doing? Glad you came in today. And we got a little bit of everything. I mean, I know we're going to go over some new stuff, but Janek's got some cool stuff, which I'm kind of jealous of. Man, I mean, the topography out there where you're at is really cool compared to what we have out here. Maybe I've just been in the heartland too long. And then I've got some stuff for that's coming up to dealer shelves in December and stuff that's already out now that you're going to want to grab. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Anytime we have left over, we're going to go ahead and do some Q&A and some railfan action. And yeah, see what you guys have. So what do you say, Janek? You ready to go?
Sounds good. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get our first thing up. I think we're talking trailers first.
Sure. Yeah, I know a lot of people.
Sorry. Go ahead, Janek.
No, that's fine. A lot of people have been talking about these trailers that we announced.
So yeah, these are the 40-foot ready to run 40-foot what the railroad calls a Z-van reefer trailer. Yeah. And that yellow box tells me there's something really cool and exciting about this. What have you guys been working on?
Well, so this is a trailer that's been in our line for a while, as a lot of people know. But we actually went in and did some new tooling on this one. And not only did we retool the bodies so that they're easier to assemble and they assemble better, because I don't know if you guys remember the old ones. They were a flat kit, and you had to, the sides and the ends, the roof and the floor were all separate, which made it kind of tough to assemble. These new ones are a one-piece body, and we also have tooled up this reefer variation with the Thermo King nose mount reefer and the fuel tank under the floor. And so this is an early, in the earlier days of refrigeration on these trailers. These reefer units were common.
Yeah, a lot of people, conversation that we had in the shop, hobby shop the other day, like, well, why do they have only 40-foot trailers? And I think we talked about it a little bit last week, but it was basically because of the Interstate Commerce Commission. You couldn't have a vehicle over a certain length, and if you're my age or older, you probably remember the old cab over tractors, which I always thought those were cool when I was a kid. You don't see them anymore because the cab overs were a way for them to get a longer trailer, like a 45-footer, on the tractor without going over those limits. And then in 1980, they pretty much did away with those. So now you don't see these 40-footers as much anymore. But boy, in the 60s and 70s, maybe even up into the early 80s, they were all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of these 40-footers were extended to 45 feet once the laws were changed. And then you can usually see that where they added the addition on the end of the trailer. There's like a seam there.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, we got some great road names. I mean, anybody that's modeling 60s or 70s, I mean, even early 80s for that matter. I mean, you're still going to see these occasionally, even nowadays. You don't see them as often, but, you might see them, something that I've seen a lot in the Midwest. I don't know about you, Janek, out there, but I've started seeing a lot of these 40 and 45 footers being used roadside as a billboard. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. I took a trip through the Central Valley recently through Fresno, Bakersfield, and there are a lot of these trailers out there for various propositions or presidential candidates or whatnot being used as advertising.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So that's going to make a lot of guys happy that are in the 60s and 70s, early 80s. And I mean, we talked about the spine impact cars last week. We talked about some F89F flat cars. So great addition. And like I always tell everybody, if you get a layout that's got warehouses and stuff in it, you're definitely going to want these. So really cool.
Yeah, I wanted to say a couple more things too.
Sure.
You got a couple different body styles here, in the beaded side and the smooth side. So the beaded side trailers are the Rock Island and the Digby, and the remainder of them are smooth side. And then for the owner operators, we got one of each, so you can take whatever you want there. Those owner operators are great, like we said, as a trackside detail or storage, or you can paint them and leather them however you want, pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad we have a chance to do that. And while we're talking back and forth, I'm seeing some of the comments in there. John had a question about what's going on with train shows for right now. John and anybody else that's interested, we're pretty much going to concentrate on virtual train shows. I know that's not what myself or Janek or anybody else would like. It's not ideal. We'd really like to get back into the swing of things, but until things settle down, we're playing it safe, and we want everybody out there to be safe. So keep your eyes on our Facebook page. Keep your eyes on our website, because we will be doing some more virtual train shows in the future. Well, cool. These are, I'm kind of excited about these, and I mean, this is my era. So these,
Absolutely.
The great thing about these too is you don't really have to do anything with these. They're done. They're ready to go. You can maybe weather them a little bit, but even the mud flaps have details to them, which I think is great.
Yeah, a little bit of weathering would look great on these. Someone was asking about the Martrack and why is it gray? And it's true that most of the Martrack trailers out there were white, but I did find photos of gray ones. And from what I heard, they are former UPS trailers. I don't have the rights to those photos, so unfortunately I couldn't show them here, but I did have photos about gray Martrack trailers, so that is where that one came from, if anyone was asking.
And Wayne Hawkins, I see your comment out there. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, well, let's get to the next one here.
All right.
And I think we got some flat cars, don't we? Let's see, 60-foot ready to run flat cars. And man, here's a selection here.
Yeah, what is that? 9 different road names?
Yeah, and my eyes are failing, and I've got a smaller screen than what you guys out there in TV land have. So let me take a look here. Not only that, but I mean, for each one of those flat cars, you get, different road numbers, up to 3 different road numbers, and there's going to be 3 packs too.
Yeah, that's 5 different numbers on each car, and like you guys have probably noticed, you've noticed a pattern. We don't do repeat numbers on these cars unless there's something special about it, like a bicentennial or some other one of a kind. But for a bread and butter car, we're not doing repeat numbers. So we do, even if you already have these are numbers that you don't already have.
And the other cool thing about this is, again, we try to think of everybody's era. So you've got the original TTX Black, you've got the newer TTX Red, you've got the even older yet, when it was called Trailer Train Corporation, Brown.
Yeah.
You even got modern-esque BNSF. I mean, these things, you're going to see them still to this day. They're old freight cars, but you're still seeing them around.
Yeah, these are, somebody was asking if these are those old MDC cars. Yeah, these are the MDC kits that we have had in our line since that acquisition.
So Janek, you can't answer this because I know you know the answer to this, but for everybody else out there, you win a free shout out as long as Janek and I see your comment. When a string of these are all in a train and there's nothing on top, what do the railroads call that? What's the slang term for a bunch of flat cars with nothing on it in a train? First guy out there that gets us a shout out, let you know. And I can tell by Janek's laugh, he's like, "Oh, that's easy. That's an easy one."
Oh, actually,
hey, here we go. Brad's got it. Brad's got it. Bare table. Which is a good thing we're doing these this week and not next week, because next week is Thanksgiving and I don't want bare tables.
No, that's not a week where you want to have a bare table.
Well, these are great. And I mean, you did say they were based on the old MDC kits, but of course, like with anything, with time, everything gets updated. Probably the biggest improvement that I would see off the top of my head is just the printing on these. I've got some of these older ones, and I mean, for the time that they were in, they were fine. But now, wow, I mean, that's got to be at least one of the things that stands out to me.
It is. I mean, if you zoom in on some of these road names, you see that we've put the ACI plates on them, and we have put all of the necessary car data on there. A lot of the times on these old kits, some of that stuff was just left off.
Oh, yeah.
Or if it was on there, you couldn't read it. You know, it was sort of just a blob type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, check out the newer TTX. I mean, you've got the lube plate panel here. You've got all of the modern data that you see on cars now that, you know, in the older days, they didn't have quite as much information on there. But
yeah,
yeah,
like on the brown TTX one, that predates the COTS panels and a lot of that other stuff. So that's why it's not there.
Right.
On there as appropriate.
Now, this is a great selection. And, you know, the great thing about these, like we said in the past, these are great operator type cars. I mean, if you've got a layout that has any type of industrial stuff and you want to get an industrial train going quickly and you want to do an operating session, these are great cars for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then the last one that we've got a Roundhouse offering this week. Let me bring that up here real quick.
I'm sure if Tony was here, his eyes would be lighting up.
Tony would, yeah, he would light up. He loves these Roundhouse offerings that we come out with.
Yeah, he does. Well, who doesn't? I mean, they are representative of a simpler time for a lot of people.
And you know, again, just because they're Roundhouse, they don't. It doesn't mean they lack a lot of detail. They've actually gotten better over the years, just because of the technology involved in producing these. But these are, again, perfect for, you know, we're not going to be quarantined forever. We're going to go back to train shows again. And if you're part of a modular club, these are great because since they're being sold in singles and they're also being sold in multi-packs of up to 4, 2 per road name, you can make a really nice coal train really quickly without breaking the bank.
Yeah, you totally could. And I think that's the key point there, without breaking the bank. Are there nicer coal hoppers out there? Absolutely, and you could spend a lot more money on them if you wanted to, but not everybody wants that level of detail. Or they have to carry their stuff around and they don't want it to break inside their carrying cases. And so something like this would be perfect.
Yeah, no, these are nice. And I mean, they have the benefit now of much better wheel sets. The painting is better. The printing is better. And again, everything is we try to cover as many roads as we can per release and try to get it for, you know, the most popular errors. So if you're running transition area, you can run these. We've got some fallen flags in there now. We've even got all the way up to the modern BNSF. So some great opportunities there. And I mean, if you're running, say, 60s, 70s, you can have a really good size coal train with some of these mixing and matching them.
Yeah, and if you have tight curves on your layout too, these will probably take a 15-inch radius, no problem. So there's that to consider as well. Not everybody has
that's cool.
broad curves available to them. So.
Well, these are really nice, and so we got a pretty good range of stuff today, which is always nice.
Absolutely.
We've got some what you want to call maybe long haul cars, all the way to long haul to industrial type stuff, and then of course we've got the trailers, and I'm always impressed with those trailers, and I'll show some pictures later, but for now, Janek, you said you were out on assignment, we'll call it.
Well, I wouldn't say it was on. I assigned it to myself. How about that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. So tell us a little bit what you were doing.
Well, I took a little bit of a vacation the other week, which is why I wasn't here for the show. So again, sorry about that. I was being selfish. I did record a video, but it just wasn't able to be used in time for that. But fear not, I did take some photos when I was on the trip. So one of my favorite places to go, because I'm in Southern California, one of my favorite places to go train watching is out on the BNSF Needles subdivision, which runs from Barstow to Needles, and that is out in the Mojave Desert, as a lot of you know, I'm sure. And at a glance, it doesn't look like much. Oh yeah, the track, it's straight. It's high speed running. There isn't a lot of different scenery, but actually there is. If you do some more exploring, there's some really neat spots and a lot of history out there as well. We got with Route 66 and all that. It's really fun to explore that area. So that's what I was doing. I spent the day with a couple buddies, and so I took a few photos, and hopefully Jim can share those out.
There we go.
So we started off, and again, I'm sorry for you guys that have never done this before. It's like the back of my hand now, but we like to start off in a town called Victorville. And just outside of Victorville is a big plant. I want to say they do cement, and they always have some interesting power there. Here you see they got a couple of Jeeps, Jeep 38s. One of them, former Norfolk Southern unit. The other one is a former Rail America unit. You guys can look at the heritage on those. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I thought those were cool. Something you don't see every day, especially around here with all the Tier 4s and whatnot that we see. It's always nice to see some Jeeps.
Some nice weathering there too on that lead unit.
Oh, I know, and honestly, it wouldn't be that hard because you only need one color if you're going to do that job. All you need is that light gray, and you just kind of do it over the whole roof and down the sides a bit, and there you go. So yeah, really interesting.
Very cool.
And then we took off from there. We went further out, and this right here is a little bit past Ludlow, which is east of Barstow. And as you guys can see, the weather wasn't exactly cooperating with us the entire day. It was windy, it was rainy, and then it would change, in a couple miles. We caught this westbound stack train just outside of Ludlow here. And then we kept going down. We were taking 66 because, that's the fun way to go. We ended up in Amboy. And Amboy is where they have Roy's Cafe, if you guys know what that is. It's got some interesting architecture, a really interesting story in that town. And we caught this train. They were just parked here, but the light was good, so it's like, might as well take a shot. I noticed on the third unit too, if you go to the next picture, Jim, I noticed that the third unit was a Heritage 1.
Whoa.
And, I thought that was cool to see the number 1000 out there with the paint is in really great shape on this thing. I mean, for something that got painted in the mid 90s, and pretty sure hasn't ever been repainted. That's just held up really well. I mean, yeah, it's got a little bit of rust and a little bit of the paint peeling off, but it still looks really nice. So maybe that's one that we will offer in a future -9 run. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks familiar. One thing too that I've noticed on some of these old heritage ones is sometimes they had the old, BNSF shield on the back of the long nose, and I noticed this one does not; it just has the numbers.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was a lot of variation, especially with the secondhand units, as to how they got painted, and goes and whatnot. So there was that, and then the last shot that I wanted to share. This is that same train there on the left. And on the right, you see them meeting another westbound. We probably saw 90% stacked trains that day, which is to be expected. When you're out on that line, it's the Transcon. It's the main east-west line. And so you're going to see a lot of intermodal traffic. And that's what we saw. It's still a fun trip.
So it's funny you say the Transcon, because that's where I rail fan out here is the Transcon, but it does not look anything at all like that.
A little less of the mountains, maybe a little more of the cornfields.
A lot more corn. Yeah, a lot more corn, and it's not completely flat, but it gets there, and it's kind of neat to see the same line, but from a different vantage point. So I love that. We don't have, I don't know, that's a pretty good size range. I mean, we've got some pretty decent size mountain ranges out east, but that's pretty dang majestic right there.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's good that the weather cooperated. At the end of the day, you never really know when you're out in the desert, and it's in the fall or the winter, the weather can just change so quickly. So.
Oh, sure. That's cool. That's some really cool pictures you got there. I'm jealous because, like I said, not only do you have that cool background and stuff, but at least when you're rail fanning, the temperatures are probably pretty warm to hot, aren't they?
Well, it wasn't too bad. Like I said, we had some rain and we had some wind, but I would say it was anywhere from the 50s to the 70s, depending on where we were.
Nice.
So, not bad at all. I mean, 50s, that's, you just put a jacket on and you can handle that. So I know that you guys get down to 20s and the 10s sometimes in the winter, and that's cold.
You know what? The thing that makes it cold out here is the wind. And coming from New England, I'm not used to the wind. Even after 22 years of living out here, it's still something I'm not used to. So, oh well, someday maybe we'll see what happens. Well, that's cool. I mean, I'm glad that you got a chance to go out and do some rail fanning. For me, anyways, I'm a little lazy because right now in Illinois, it's actually not too bad. It's just, again, I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to the wind. It's probably in the 40s, and I usually go rail fanning in an open top Jeep because it's so much easier, and it's just not conducive right now. So I guess we'll have to wait for my rail fanning picks some other time. I do have some cool pics though to show you guys out there, and I think I've actually got a video to go along too. But one of the things that's coming out, and Janek, you kind of alluded to it a while ago. Remember when you posted that really cool Genesis GP9, the Southern Pacific?
The torpedo tube unit, yeah.
Yeah. So let me grab those pictures.
Sure.
They just happened to come up in here today. There we go. And this is I'm going to just zoom in on the models. This is what happens when Janet gets a hold of information, and this is one of those, it's like that old spot. One of these things is just like the other, but one of these things aren't the same. And just look at the subtle differences. I mean, at first glance, they look like two Jeep 9s, Southern Pacific. Now, the Southern Pacific guys out there, they're going to know immediately. In fact, most Southern Pacific fans are going to say, well, the 3005, it's going to have this.
They're going to know.
Yeah, but, coming from somebody that does more Eastern and Midwestern roads, I'm not as up on the SP models other than it's a really cool paint scheme. I still think that's one of the sharpest paint schemes. But take a look. I mean, you've got, Janet, correct me if I'm wrong, they called that the wagon wheel antenna on the short nose of the 3005?
Yes.
And it's also got torpedo tubes because you said these were commuter service?
Right. Those Jeeps were, their most well-known assignment was in commuter service. They called it commute service in the San Francisco Bay Area. There are also documented cases of them running on other passenger trains from time to time as substitute power.
Yeah, I mean, these are gorgeous. I'm not even a Southern Pacific fan, but they're just so well executed. And of course, you've got the steam generator on this locomotive, whereas 3612 does not have that. You've got a difference of gyro lights between the two. Mm-hmm. These are the ones. When were these announced? Were they announced last November, Janet?
Yeah, it was about a year ago, I think.
And these are basically on the water now. They're headed to your shops. They should be in your stores by December. So if you pre-ordered these, and I hope you did, because I can tell, I don't think these are going to last long. When a guy that is pretty much into Midwestern stuff sees these and it's like, wow, these are cool. I might just have to get some of these. These aren't going to last long. I'll slide to the next picture. Now here's the B end, if you will, the back end of 3612. And I noticed on this one here, Janek, you guys modeled it accurately because they took off the gyro light here.
Yes, as depending on what kind of Southern Pacific fan you are, you may hate that or you may love that. It really depends on what year you're modeling. But Southern Pacific did start removing the lights on a lot of these units starting in the 1980s and going into the 90s. A lot of them got removed and plated over there. It's
cool. I wish I'd had an opportunity to rail fan it more when I had the chance, but unfortunately, by the time I got here, they were slowly disappearing under a coat of armor yellow. And here's a cool side-by-side shot. Man, any angle, these things look just, my humble opinion, in any angle, these just look great. I mean, just the subtle details on 3005, you've got the cut lever and it's gray, but the cut lever on 3612 is white. I mean, just simple little things. And that goes to show that when we do those announcements, even though they're the same railroad, they might not necessarily have the same details. It's not just the same coat of paint on three models that we're offering. And Janek, you guys did a great job on these.
It wasn't easy. Whenever you're working with Southern Pacific, unless you have a photo of that specific unit, there are so many things that could change and did change, even with a same order. If you're talking about the 1970s, 1980s, especially the 1990s, they were all basically one of a kind because they'd all been modified at different times and different places. And so it makes our job a little bit more difficult, but the end result is that there are some really unique engines that we can do.
Yeah, and Terry discovered my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. I called that a cut lever. That's not the cut lever. My eyes are getting bad.
Pilot grab.
Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. I want to show that yet. Snuck that out.
There.
I wonder if our fans saw that. So let me bring up the video I took of this, because not only do you have all of those details that you did, but even the sound. I mean, even the stuff that's put into it. So let me see. I'm gonna. Yep, I should be all set here. So what impressed me the most about that, Janek, was the horns are distinctly different.
Well, and that's actually the reason why the horns are different. We use different soundboards on those because one of them has dynamic brakes and one of them doesn't. So we actually have the ability to replicate that on the boards. And so the passenger unit, as you showed there, when you activate the dynamic brakes on it, it'll just go into idle. And the other one will actually play the dynamic brake sound, which, you know, so you get that
they're really
there.
Right.
The horn sound, you know, that changed from unit to unit. Sometimes horns were replaced. The horn sound is an easy thing to change on those if you wanted to change it. We put the right one on there by default if we can. Sometimes it's not quite the right one, but it's easy to change. But we try and get the lights and the dynamic brakes and the direction of operation. Those are really the main things that we do out of the box on these.
It really was a cool railroad, and it's another one of those railroads. We've had this discussion before. You don't really miss it until it's gone. You know, and it's fun to watch like some old Hollywood movies. Like I think this is a really old movie, but The Duel.
Yeah, I know that one.
Remember that movie? And I think there's an SP locomotive in that when the semi is trying to push his Dodge Dart, Dennis Weaver's Dodge Dart, into the train. I want to say that's an SP if I remember right.
It totally is. They filmed that. I can't remember the name of that line. I should know it. It's now a Metrolink line that goes to Palmdale and Lancaster. But they filmed that on that SP line there.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, I mean, you go back and a lot of these movies all the way up into the 80s and early 90s, and you'll see in the background, you know, something. I want to say in one of the Terminator movies, I remember seeing one, or just all those kind of things. And to me, anyways, growing up in central New Hampshire, Santa Fe and Southern Pacific were California. It was as California as Beach Boys and Mustangs and surfing, type of thing. So, I kind of miss SP, and we get a lot of comments out there. So, to the guys that pre-ordered those, you were smart. There's 4 in this release, 4 separate road numbers with 4 separate details. I just showed the 2, and then not only do we have the SP Jeep 9s, but there's a Great Northern, which I showed last week. There'll be a video coming up on Facebook here pretty soon for that Great Northern version. Cool. And there's a few other ones that, like I said, they'll be hitting dealer shelves in December. So if you did not pre-order one and you really like the looks and the sounds and the smooth running of these SP units, call your dealer today because I don't think they're going to last long.
No, I mean, I kind of want one of the commuter engines, and I would probably use it as a standby power for one of my long distance trains, just to have something different.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of those. I justify buying one? No. Will I probably still buy one? Yeah, just because it's so cool. So remember earlier, we had a fan asking about Navajo Trailers, and
Yes, I remember that.
I hope you're still here because I've got something to show you, and I think you're going to like it. But let's see. I'll bring it up on the screen. So these are going to be in stock coming December. These are the 53-foot reefers.
That's cool.
And, again, I'm so impressed with the printing on these. I mean, you've got that gradient. Now, I know you see them out there. I see them out here on the highways. And that Navajo font is really, really easy to see in a world of standard fonts, I guess you could say. And, of course, it's that gradient red and orange. So it just stands out. It's a really nice looking logo.
You did an incredible job with it. And really, and some vehicle guys might get mad at me for saying this, but this trailer, without the printing, it's just a box with wheels. There isn't a whole lot to it. The printing, more than anything, is what makes this stand out and what makes it such a highly detailed model.
And like I was saying earlier, look at the mud flaps. I mean, to me, that's just so cool that is on there. And I mean, in the past, I mean, if you wanted to do that, you had to use a decal at best. And then
exactly.
the other thing, let's see. And of course, they've got the refrigerator on the front of these, and those are nicely detailed too.
And you got the chrome on the corners there. With
right, yeah.
Trailer number and the reporting mark. Just the fact that they're able to do that and it looks so good. That's just how it looks.
Now the Navajo Trailers will be here in December. The KLLM Trailers will also be here in December.
Nice.
But I think the next one, which I was kind of fond of this next one, the Western, which is just a cool trailer. I've got to get my order in because these are actually in stock now. So if you really like this Western trailer, you're going to want to get to your dealer sooner than later because I don't think these are going to last too long. Now, I don't remember seeing these. Do you see them out west, Janek?
Yes, I have seen a few of these on here. I think a lot of them are actually armored. They're armored carriers of money, is what I've seen on some of them. Maybe not this particular one, but I have seen some of those out here.
Well, that's cool. I mean, yeah. I mean, the stuff that just keeps coming out. Sometimes it's hard to narrow it down to an era or a railroad or anything like that. So,
like you say, we try to hit different ones when we can. A lot of people have been waiting for these trailers. It's been a long time coming. We had some tooling issues, as we said in the past. We had to basically go in and cut new floors for all these trailers and do some other stuff. And it ended up taking a lot more time than we wanted it to. But I think that the end result is going to be worth the wait for you guys.
Yeah, these are really cool. I mean,
with that metallic finish.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I've seen like some people do an actual chrome, and that just doesn't work in this scale.
No.
This is a nice aluminum color to it. The rubber wheels, I mean, they're just, again, it's one of those models where you're going to want it for your F89F flat cars. You're going to want it for your warehouse. You're going to want it just on a semi truck going down the road on your layout. I mean, they're just so cool. And And the funny thing is that within the NMRA, there's a special interest group that does just HO scale, 187 scale trucks and trailers and things of that nature. And man, if you're as fascinated with that stuff as I am, you're going to want to definitely check those out at some point. Well,
hobby within a hobby with those vehicle models.
It is. It really is. Looks like I had a request here somewhere. Where'd it go? Oh, Terry, he's in one of those flats. You talking about the bulkhead flats behind me, Terry? I can do better than that. Let me see if I can find a picture. Let's see.
We got some people in the comments asking for some different trailer road names too. Please send us what you have. Send it to help@ather.com. Sometimes these trailers are kind of hard to get photos of because no one seems to shoot them from the front or from the back.
Right.
So you've got
that's true.
Of all the sides. That's a big help if we're trying to do artwork.
Now, for you guys that are modeling, Pacific Northwest and stuff, these bulkhead flat cars, these are under the ready to roll line.
Nice.
These are on the water too. They're going to be here in December. Here's the BN version with a really sharp looking GP9 there. And of course, the trailer train. We're offering them a trailer train. It looks like a Illinois Central Gulf behind it.
Yep, that orange one is hard to mistake.
What's that?
Hey, what's that?
I think those are going to be coming. Not quite here yet, but I think they're coming. Something we've been working on. Well, what do you say? We've got just a little bit of time left. What do you say we take some Q&A? And while we start, I think we should go to Nebraska. Why should we go to Nebraska, you ask? Well,
yeah, I got a few more minutes here, and then I got a jazz. So let's take a few questions, like you said.
Yeah. Janek's work is never done. He doesn't sleep. In case you guys didn't know that, he does not sleep. All right, I'm going to try to blow that screen up a little bit so we can all see what's going on. You missed it last week, Janet, because the one thing that did go right was we actually had a train show up. Tuesdays are not the best day to rail fan.
They found out that I wasn't going to be there and decided to run all the trains then. So that's usually what happens.
Oh, man. Well, do you see any questions out there that you'd like to take on, Janek?
Aaron Michael Pine. I'm not saying that correctly. I know it. I'm sorry. He's asking about the center window on the ST60Ms. Yes, that was fixed. I don't know if we have samples that reflect the fix. I know the drawings do, so maybe that's something that we can put up there in the near future. But yeah, it was dressed. The tooling was changed.
Let's see. I just saw. Oh, here's one. This would. Bob's got one that you might be able to answer. Any possibility of Bayline Jeeps?
Yeah. How about a Bayline GP39?
There you go.
Or I know they had a bunch of 38-2s as well. And that's a cool paint scheme. Actually.
It is.
It kind of looks neat with the green and yellow. So we don't do a lot of Bayline stuff, so maybe it is time for some of that in the future run.
Yeah, now you mention it, I don't remember seeing too much of it. So it's about time, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Asher Midgley wants DRRA SD60Is, please. Well, since you said please, I think it's going to happen. I think I'd look out for a 2021 announcement on those. Definitely.
Yeah, I have pretty good feelings about it. I think so.
You want to talk about a nice looking paint scheme? I mean, that one is.
It is a very cool paint scheme. Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes it's hard to really narrow our focus. And when you see something as nice as that, you're going to get it anyways.
There's so much stuff out there. Steve Anderson wants to know. Oh, what? Yeah, he's not.
Steve Anderson, there we go.
Yes, the overnight cars on the way. Yes, Steve. They are not overnight until they're going to be here, but they are on the way. I just saw the samples last week, and that usually means that they're about 1 or 2 months away from getting into the stores. So I would look out for them.
Yeah. There was a comment I was going to put up there. My wallet is not going to like 2021 then. My wife's not going to like 2021. She's downstairs, so I got to whisper. But yeah, 2021, I think there's going to be a lot of happy people, a lot of happy modelers. I mean, there's some great stuff that's we're all working on.
Absolutely.
Would you like a weekly request, Janek, or you want to go for a question?
Let's take the weekly request.
All right.
Take that. CN SE70M-2 isolated cabs. You know, it is about time for another run of M-2s. What do you think, Jim?
I think the timing would be perfect.
We haven't
really done that in a while.
There's heritage units in the news, right? There's
right.
The Western one, and then I think there's one that just popped up today, which is a CN unit, but it does have the anniversary logo on it. So that'd be a cool one to do.
That would be a cool one. And of course, we've got the weekly request for General Motors trucks.
Okay.
Which, yeah, we hear you and we understand. We'll see what's going on. We always can keep that information. We know that there's always seems to be a need for vehicles.
Yes.
And it's hard for us to kind of narrow down what era, because if we do like say 90s SUVs, then the guys from the 70s are like, where's our pickup trucks? And then the guys from the 80s are like, well, we need full-size vans.
You need them all, yep.
We need them all, yeah. I wish we could just do them all and we'd be all set.
Kurt Stroher wants to know if anything is coming up in KCS. Well, Kurt, what would you like to see? I mean, KCS, that could be Southern Bell SD70 Max, that could be white F units. You know, what are you looking for KCS? Let us know.
Let's see. There's a lot of great comments out here today, and I had that last week too. Actually, once we get through the sound difficulties of everything, we had some great questions last week. And once again, everybody's on point. They got some great stuff. I'm going to put Steven's request up, and this is going to be general. He's asking for SW1500s, but generally, I'm seeing a lot of comments for all different types of switchers. What do you think, Janek? It's been a little bit since we've done MP15s or SW1200s or anything like that.
It has been a while. And to be honest, we had big plans for those units. We wanted to give them a whole suite of upgrades, you know, make the sound an option on the 1500s and improve the sound quality on the MP15s. We also wanted to improve the motors on them because we weren't too happy with the motors that we've been getting for a while. Well, there's work to be done on those. It's not just a question of announcing them next week. We want to make sure that we're giving you guys something that gives you the features that you want and that runs well. So we're working on them. We are. It's been an ongoing project for us. Has it been going quickly? No. But are we working on it? Yes. So thank you for continuing to ask about it, and hopefully you will continue to ask about them, and we'll continue to let you guys know if anything's happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what we talked about last week. We continually want to hear what you want, because the more requests we get, the more, we can say, hey, we need to do this next because we've had these many requests. And I'm seeing some guys too this week, Janek, asking about N scale.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're working on some N scale stuff that you're going to see next week. We're going to have an N scale show. So for all the N scale guys, we'll have some N scale stuff. So tune in for that. We're trying not to forget about the N scale guys, because somebody at Athearn does N scale. I don't remember who. I think his name's Bob. Isn't it Bob in the warehouse does N scale, I think.
Well, it's with people staying indoors more often these days, it's a great option if you don't have a lot of space, or if you need to put it away every night so that you can actually use your dinner table for food or something like that. It's a little easier to do with scale.
Well, it looks like we've gotten to the point of that show where we're going to have to cut y'all loose, and we will be back next Tuesday. And we're going to have the All N Scale show. But just because you're into HO, still turn in, because you never know what's going to end up behind me or behind Janek. So we try to get everything for everybody out there. And we really appreciate you guys coming in. Thanks for your patience with everything that's going on. Once again, just want everybody to stay happy, stay healthy, do some good modeling. And coming from Illinois, high greens, everybody. And I'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for all the comments, guys. If we didn't get to your comment, we will read it later. Take my word on that. So thanks for all the comments. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all later.